Today, news business is geared toward entertainment. It's geared toward, in some cases, propaganda. It's geared toward, ultimately, the bottom line of a big corporation that owns the station, that owns the news operation.
It's called the news business for a reason. It is news, but it's a business.
They don't like to spend money doing serious stories. They like to do cheap, easy stories that will get a gut reaction.
The thing I think that distresses me more than anything else is that a lot of the news content is not coming straight out of the newsrooms, particularly in television, but out of the promotion department.
It's expensive to spend time exploring the issues. It's cheap, and everything now is a question of money.
If you go to the National Association of Black Journalists, or you go to the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, you talk to Asian American journalists who are on air, you talk to Native American journalists, you're seeing a diminution in the number of journalists that are locally based. Because in order to save money and in order to get economies of scale and scope, a lot of the broadcasters are shrinking their employee pool, and they're shrinking them in the news sectors of their stations. So a lot of the young, vibrant people who are getting experience as on-air talent in small towns are seeing those opportunities increasingly diminish.
When you let a small number of companies have this much concentrated power, they will always abuse it. It's simply unacceptable in a free society. And if you don't change the system, we can be having this conversation for the next 50 years. We'll be talking about Rupert Murdoch III.
Just as healthcare and the economy and the environment are political issues that people are familiar with, corporate control over the media is also a major political issue.
When you have one network that is so powerful and so intent upon warping the dialogue, it limits that discourse. It actually influences it to be a narrower discourse. And that's what I think citizens ought to be up in arms about. We can't accept this anymore. If we do accept it, we are handing on to our children and our grandchildren a lesser democracy than we inherited. And that's the one thing we don't have a right to do.
Policies have been made behind closed doors by very powerful special interests without any public involvement or participation. And what we've learned in the last few years is when the public gets aware of this and they start organizing, we can change these policies and we can make a system that actually responds to the needs of the people of this country.
America's digital destiny is hanging in the balance now. With the right activism, public outcry, we can shape a media environment so that in every community, there are channels that actually serve the public interest.
If you are a citizen at home right now, when you turn on talk radio, all you hear is one right-wing nut or another right-wing nut. Why don't you go to the radio station and say, I'm sick and tired of this. There are progressive voices out there. We want a balance.
If a Fox TV station in your town is broadcasting reports that you know to be inaccurate, that you know to be warping the news, you, as citizens, have power. Groups like Code Pink and others have actually demonstrated outside television stations and have made noise about it. You need to basically play the Paul Revere role to, kind of ride out into the night, alerting people that there's something bad going on here.
We can actually win here. The whole strength of the system has been based on people being apathetic and not thinking they could do anything about it. As soon as we rise up, it collapses like a house of cards. That's the extraordinary development of the last 2 years.
It is not an issue of the right or the left. It is a populist issue about people finally saying it's their democracy and they aren't going to let 5 companies control the airways for corporate convenience at the expense of public necessity.